Hello students, my name is Anita Sen, your science teacher from Shri Rama Bharti Public School. Today, I will take few topics from combustion and fossil fuels. So let's start. Now, today we will start from controlling fire. So, how to control fire? If the fire is there, so for that it is very important we should know what are the principles of extinguishing fire. Like there are the principles for combustion of flame or combustion of fire also. In the same way, there are three main principles for extinguishing fire. Number one, by removing the combustible substance. If a fire is there, so first of all, we can remove the combustible substance from there. Second, by cutting off the supply of air. Like many times that we are throwing the water, what the water is doing? Water is cutting the supply of air. And third, by cooling the burning substance below their ignition temperature. When we are throwing water, along with cutting off the supply of air, it is also cooling the burning surface of the substance, and it below it lower down the ignition temperature. So to extinguish fire, these three principles are important. Number one, by removing combustible substance. Number two, by cutting off the supply of air, and by cooling the burning substance below their ignition temperature. Now comes the fire extinguisher. Everywhere water cannot be used. If there is fire through electricity, short circuit, we can't use water. So we required a device to extinguish fire that is known as fire extinguisher. And you have seen the red cylinders of fire extinguisher in cinema halls, banks, and also in your schools. These are known as fire extinguisher. Now there are various types of fire extinguisher which help in extinguishing fire. Number one, water. That is the most common. If anywhere the water fire is there, usually people they throw water to cut off the supply and to slow down the ignition temperature, and slowly the fire extinguishes. Second, the most important which is used, it is soda acid fire extinguisher. In this soda acid fire extinguisher, it is based on the principle by extinguishing fire by cooling the burning substances below its ignition temperature and by cutting off supply. Two things are going simultaneously. One, the cut off the supply of air, and second, the ignition temperature is lowering down. A soda acid fire extinguisher, you can see in the picture on the diagram, there is a metallic cylinder having a knob and tube and nozzle. Inside it, there is a glass bottle which is having sulfuric acid, and there is a solution of sodium bicarbonate. Whenever we strike the knob, then the glass bottle, the crack is there, and the sulfuric acid, it mixes with sodium bicarbonate solution, and always from the nozzle the gas comes out, carbon dioxide gas comes out, and which extinguishes fire. So that is how this works. Now the next we will go to the characteristics of an ideal fuel. We always say a fuel is ideal when it is having high calorific value. The ignition temperature should be moderate. Neither should be very high or it not should be very low. It should be a moderate ignition temperature. Third thing, it should have a moderate rate of combustion. The burning process should be also moderate. It should be readily available and should be economical. Means not should be very, it should be very cheap. It should be economical. It should be easy to store and transport. And most important, it should not release harmful gases, because that is a very big problem nowadays. When the fossil fuels burn, they release very harmful gases. So these are the main properties or the characteristics of an ideal fuel. Now we will go through what happens when fuels are burned, because we are using fossil fuels and they always release large amount of gases and the particles into the air. The gases which emitted from them is sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, again along with the soot and ash particles, as well as smoke is released. And sometimes they also release heavy metals like lead and zinc. Now, first of all, if you will go for carbon mono, because that is a highly poisonous gas, because if it will mix with the hemoglobin in the blood. So hemoglobin, because we know hemoglobin, it always carry oxygen to the lungs and then to the tissues. But if the carbon monoxide will mix, then it will stop the carrying of oxygen. So that's why there will be the deficiency of oxygen in blood, and which causes headache, dizziness, and respiratory problems. So that's why it is very harmful gas, and it always produced whenever there is incomplete combustion. When there is incomplete combustion. Second is carbon dioxide gas. Carbon dioxide gas, we know, is very important because it is used by the plants for photosynthesis. But if it increases in percentage, then there is a problem, because carbon dioxide is responsible for about 87% of global warming. And that is why it is very harmful at that time. Otherwise, so we all know it is used by the plants. Then comes the oxides of sulfur and nitrogen. When they are released in the air and when they mixes with the water, rainwater, then they fall down in the form of acid rain. And we all know acid rain is very harmful because it's damage marble buildings, statues, monuments, and also it affect the texture of the soil. It makes the soil acidic. And last is suspended particulate matter, SPM. Carbon particles that are not burnt become ash and smoke and are released to the air during burning of fossil fuels. And these forms the particulate matter. And this particulate matter, it reduces the visibility, it blackens the buildings, and also responsible for the respiratory diseases in the human being. So that is all about, and I hope you all are able to understand all the topics properly. So time to say goodbye. Have a nice day.